Joel Rifkin became obsessed with the idea of murdering prostitutes at an early age. At the age of 30, he couldn't resist the temptation anymore, and he began a killing spree throughout New York State. He was careful to do as much as possible to obliterate the police's chances of identifying his 17 victims by cutting off their fingerprints and pulling out their teeth with pliers. But then it happened. In June of 1993, Rifkin caught the attention of troopers not by erratic behavior or some slip-up in his cautious corpse preparations. No, the thing that finally got him caught was that the license plate on the back of his truck had fallen off. When the troopers went to pull him over to alert him that the plate was gone, Rifkin panicked and punched it, turning a simple traffic stop into a high-speed chase. Rifkin crashed into a utility pole, and when the troopers approached his truck, they caught a whiff of a strong smell coming from the back, his latest victim. Rifkin is now serving 203 years and won't be eligible for parole until 2197. Peter Sutcliffe was a serial killer of women who kept the north of England in terror between 1975 and 1980. Murdering 13 women and attempting to murder 7 more, Sutcliffe managed to stay ahead of more than 130,000 interviews, 23,000 home visits, and 150,000 car stops. So how did Sutcliffe, after dodging so much police work, finally get caught? A simple car check. Sutcliffe was found parked with prostitute Olivia Ravers in Sheffield's red light district. When the police checked on the car's license plates, they found they belonged to a different car. When one of the officers later rechecked the location, he found a ball-peen hammer and a knife. Olivia had come this close to being the Yorkshire Ripper's next victim, but was saved by Sutcliffe swapping out his license plates. The Russian killer, Alexander Pichushkin, earned his nickname by placing a coin on the squares of his chessboard, one for every victim. At the time of his arrest, he confessed to killing 63 innocent people. Pichushkin would lure people out to Moscow's Bitsevsky Park, get them drunk, and then hit them in the head with a hammer. He sometimes left the bodies right where they fell, with no attempts to hide them. These lazy crime scenes never led to his arrest. Pichushkin's big mistake finally occurred in 2006 when he killed a work colleague. He had invited her out for a walk in the park, but before they departed, she left a note for her son indicating where she was going and that she would be accompanied by Pichushkin. Pichushkin was aware of the note, but he murdered her anyway. His disregard for this blatant bit of evidence led to his arrest. Robert Peast and his mother were together inside a pharmacy when Robert told her he was stepping outside to talk to a contractor about being hired on for the summer. That was the last time she saw her son. The contractor was identified as John Wayne Gacy. Police were able to get a warrant to search his home on December 13, 1978. While they didn't find Robert, whose body had been dumped off-site, they did find shackles and handcuffs and a class ring eventually tied to another missing young man. But there was nothing that proved Robert had been in the house. But in disposing of Robert's effects after the murder, Gacy made a mistake. He dumped a photo receipt from Robert's pocket into his own house garbage. This was the evidence Detective Joseph Kozenczak needed to show Robert had been in Gacy's residence. It didn't help any that Gacy had buried a number of his victims under his house. And when the heat kicked on, they produced a distinct morgue-like odor. In 1994, Gacy was executed by lethal injection for the murder of 33 men. 20-year-old Maria Budlik came to Dusseldorf on May 14, 1930, looking for work. That very same day, she was nearly assaulted by one man, saved by another, only for that second gent to be none other than the serial killer Peter Kürten, the Dusseldorf vampire. Kürten invited Maria back to his apartment, but when she refused his demand for sex, he offered to lead her to a hotel. Instead of the hotel, he led her to some nearby woods where he attempted to strangle and assault her. When she began to scream, he let her go. Here's where Lady Luck enters the picture. Maria didn't report the assault to the police, but she did write about it in a letter to a friend. However, Maria put the wrong address on the envelope, so that it could not be delivered. The letter was opened and read by a post office worker, who forwarded it to the police. The police interviewed Maria, and she was able to lead them back to Kürten's apartment. Kürten saw the police at his home and knew his time had come. He confessed to his wife everything he had done and arranged for her to turn him in for a reward. Serial killer, cannibal, and pedophile Hamilton Howard Albert Fish preyed on children across the United States. As if what he did to the children wasn't enough, he delighted in sending the parents letters describing what he had done to his victims. One such letter arrived at the home of the parents of Grace Budd, his latest victim, on November 14, 1934. Detective William King of the Missing Persons Bureau noticed that the stationery used for the letter had a faint logo, NYPCBA, New York Private Chauffeurs Benevolent Association. From such little acorns do mighty police cases grow. A janitor with the NYPCBA revealed he had left some stationery behind at his old rooming house. The landlady of the rooming house revealed that Albert Fish had recently been the occupant of the room. Albert had used the unique stationery he had found in the room to send the revolting letter. As it turned out, the stationery was also what sent him to his grave. He was executed by electric chair on January 16, 1936. David Berkowitz sent the city of New York into a panic during 1976 through 1977, as he murdered 6 people and then sent letters to the newspapers, signing them as the Son of Sam. The Son of Sam in question was a demon he claimed lived inside the black Labrador Retriever owned by a man named Sam Carr, who lived next door to him. He later admitted he had made up the demon angle. The murders created one of the largest manhunts ever witnessed by the Big Apple. Maybe Berkowitz would have been caught over time, but there was one little item that certainly sped up the process: a parking ticket. The last of Berkowitz's killings took place near a park where a number of parking tickets had been issued. Working on the theory that one of the people who had parked in the area might have seen something, police began tracking down the owners of the cars that had been ticketed. One of the cars was registered to a resident of Yonkers. In a strange twist of fate, the Yonkers PD dispatcher they talked to was named Wheat Carr, daughter of Sam Carr, owner of the black lab dog, the same dog having recently been shot by Berkowitz. Berkowitz was arrested on August 10, 1977, and was subsequently sentenced to 365 years in prison.